More 49ers news. This is interesting. On the day that Aaron Donald retired, former 49ers quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be signing on to be Matthew Stafford's backup with the Los Angeles Rams. So Jimmy G back in the division, and that gives it a non-zero chance the 49ers will play against Jimmy Garoppolo at some point in the 2024 season. Obviously, that would require Matthew Stafford getting hurt, but most quarterbacks, unfortunately, we don't like this. Most quarterbacks do get hurt at some point of the regular season. Sam Darnold had to play for Brock Purdy last year, and obviously Jimmy Garoppolo, not unfamiliar with injuries himself. He's been hurt a lot over the course of his career. That was the main problem when he was with the 49ers. Now he's going to be Stafford's backup with the Rams. So buckle up. The NFC West just got a little bit more intense with all the shuffling and, just there's interpersonal rivalries, relationships gone sour. I think that we've talked so much about the Jimmy Garoppolo, Kyle Shanahan situation. I think that both men got the best of each other over the time that they spent together, but obviously I don't think they left on the best of terms. That could be seen from very far away. So now Jimmy Garoppolo is going to be with Sean McVay and the Rams. The 49ers have made another signing. This one's really interesting. It's a cornerback. Isaac Yiadom played for the Saints last year, and last year for the Saints, after an unremarkable start to his career, the 28-year-old Isaac Yiadom started the back half of the season at outside cornerback for the Saints and put up a Pro Football Focus coverage grade of 80.4, which ranked number 16 of qualifying cornerbacks in the NFL. I get it. The sample size is not huge here, but it's also not tiny. And his play, Isaac Yiadom's play, was substantially better with New Orleans last year than it was over the first couple of years of his career. He was with the Denver Broncos for 2 years. He was with the New York Giants. But then he came to the Saints, and all of a sudden, he actually led the NFL in forced incompletion rate. A 30.4% forced incompletion rate for Isaac Yiadom. So this, to me, is an extremely intriguing signing, because the question is, and this is the operative question that the 49ers have been asking about adding another cornerback, is Yiadom good enough to allow De'Vondre Campbell to move inside without worry on passing downs? The way the 49ers set it up last year, and I could illustrate it here by taking a look at the depth chart in the quarterback and the cornerback room. And we're going to add Isaac Yiadom into the mix here in a second. I want to illustrate exactly where he'll fit. But the 49ers last season had Charvarius Ward on the outside and had De'Vondre Campbell on the outside. But in nickel situations, which meant bringing an extra defensive back into the fold, Lenore would move to that nickelback spot. This was after they benched Isaiah Oliver, who's since been cut. And Ambry Thomas would be the top option to come into the outside cornerback position. But the 49ers have had to hold their breath every single time Ambry Thomas has been at that outside cornerback spot. So they're looking to upgrade either outside cornerback or nickelback. There are many different ways to go about this. It's a very strong nickelback draft. And today they signed Chase Lucas, who's a nickelback. But if they strengthen outside cornerback enough to where they've got somebody, potentially Isaac Yiadom, who was good for the Saints last season, where they have somebody that could come into the outside spot on those nickel downs when Lenore moves inside, they will potentially solve one of their biggest problems. So let's add Isaac Yiadom to the depth chart. I got to figure out where exactly we're going to put him. You know what? Like right now, based on his performance for the Saints last year, I got to put Isaac Yiadom above somebody like Ambry Thomas. Just his season with the Saints last year statistically is better than anything that Thomas has put on film at the NFL level. So that really, really makes me just want to slot him in there as the cornerback opposite Charvarius Ward. It's going to be fascinating to see how this works. Yiadom's going to be in a new system. But the thing is, he struggled in years prior to last year. So that suggests that his success with the Saints was a product of him finding a system that works for him, right? Because last year was just so much markedly better than anything else for Isaac Yiadom. Anyway, we'll slot him in there for right now, just in deference to last season's performance. 49ers and all of their defensive backs, all their players are going to have to battle this out over the course of the offseason. But Yiadom is going to be yet another player highlighted here in teal, because that means that he is a new signing. Other 49ers additions today, I mentioned Chase Lucas, formerly of the Lions, gunner on special teams. The 49ers re-signed, and I got re-signed guys shaded in gray now. 49ers re-signed Chris Conley, who did a lot of great gunner work during the Super Bowl, and he's been a really good back-of-the-room receiver for San Francisco. So they really focused on special teams today. As I've emphasized throughout this whole thing, they're focusing on the margins of this team. That's what a championship roster does in free agency. You don't go out there and splurge. You've got to make sure that your spending is restrained enough to not go into cap hell. So you got to be efficient with your spending, and you've got to improve the team where it needs to be improved. They might not be sexy signings, but the 49ers have needed to improve the special teams. So you bring Conley back because he was a good performer there. Chase Lucas is going to be a guy who's going to be in the mix to be one of the 49ers gunners. They just brought in Isaac Yiadom. And, of course, earlier, De'Vondre Campbell, the linebacker formerly of the Green Bay Packers, signed. Campbell is, he's not going to be in a featured linebacker role. As you could see here, I should put him as the third linebacker over D. Winters. I've got Campbell in the wrong spot. No disrespect to De'Vondre Campbell. That was just a mistake on my part. And no disrespect to D. Winters, but he's a second-year guy, and Campbell was an all-pro 2 years ago. Even if he has fallen off, he's still, they signed him to be in that Eric Kendricks role. It's going to be interesting to see the De'Vondre Campbell money because Eric Kendricks' cap hit is only about $3 million. I said the budget for the 49ers at this linebacker position would be approximately $5 million. And to me, it seems that they can get De'Vondre Campbell for cheaper than Eric Kendricks, who defected from the 49ers and signed with the Cowboys. It seems they could get him cheaper than that. So as you can tell, the free agency spending on outside guys for the 49ers has been limited exclusively to the defense. They are reconstructing a defense that was the weak point of this team. They fired the defensive coordinator, Steve Wilks, and they're reconstructing a defense that was the weakness of this team. And the data supports that. You could see all the turquoise, which signifies outside free agent signing. Earlier today, they re-signed John Feliciano on the offensive end, but he was already with the team. That defensive side of the ball, though, they slid from number 1 to number 12 with the new defensive coordinator, Steve Wilks, and they felt that they were not good enough at the margins last year, which is why, again, I can't emphasize this enough. You see so many signings in that D-line room. The third linebacker spot, that's a signing at the margins. Obviously, that's happening because Dre Greenlaw was hurt last year with the torn Achilles in the Super Bowl, and the 49ers don't know exactly when he'll be up to full speed. But they've also needed to improve that third cornerback spot. And Isaac Yiadom is a player who gives the 49ers the potential upside to do just that based on how good he was last year. It was an outlier, that's for sure. The sample isn't huge, but I'm sure neither is the contract. I think that the 49ers, you look at this and they're looking for value across the board at all these positions. And it's hard to argue that they haven't gotten value in any of these signings, right? Malik Collins was a trade at $8.47 million. That's value for a good defensive tackle. I mean, he played well, 48 pressures last year for the Texans. Jordan Elliott, I can guarantee you that cap hit's not going to be much more than $3 million, if it even hits that. For the guy that was number 6 in run stop win rate last year for defensive tackles, that's good value. Yetur Gross-Matos, ascending defensive end, guy with versatility. His cap hit, 3.3 million. That represents value too. Leonard Floyd, we only have the raw numbers on that deal, but this is a 10-sack guy over the past 4 seasons. Hasn't missed a game since 2017. Even if it does cost $10 million, I don't think it will. I think his cap hit, they're probably going to backload it, probably going to be about, let's say, $6-7 million. Well, that's going to be value as well, especially considering the fact that you saw Brian Burns signed for massive money. What was it? $30 million a year for Brian Burns. Danielle Hunter, $25 million a year. Get Leonard Floyd, high motor kind of guy. Pair him with Hargrave, Collins, and Bosa at $10 million a year. Cap hit smaller than that. That's value. De'Vondre Campbell, all-pro a couple years ago. You're not asking him to be Fred Warner. You're not asking him even to be in that Dre Greenlaw spot forever. You're asking him to be linebacker 2.5, somewhere in between linebacker 2 and 3. If you get him at a deal for less than $4 million a year on the cap, that's going to be value. Isaac Yiadom, if you could get him on a cheaper deal, which I think it's going to be for somebody like Isaac Yiadom, well, you look at the numbers below me, that's value, right? So the 49ers going for value signings across the defense. This is what a smart front office does. They don't go out there and take massive swings every time that they have an opportunity. Now, because of the value that the 49ers have managed to attain so far across the defense, they do have a chance to take a bigger swing at a position like safety, where Talanoa Hufanga is recovering from the torn ACL. Jair Brown's only in his second year. Justin Simmons is still out there. Justin Simmons will command a relatively large contract, even though the safety market doesn't seem to be doing so well. But that's good news for the 49ers, because there's a chance they can get a more marquee player for value. They already hosted somebody like Rayshon Jenkins. Jenkins is not the player that Justin Simmons was, but when I look at Brandon Staley, who's the 49ers assistant head coach, and he's helping out with the defense, Staley ran very complex stuff on the back end that relied on good players in 2020 with the Rams. Jalen Ramsey sticks out to me. He played the star position for the Rams. I believe Derwin James played some of it for the Chargers under Staley, but Staley loves moving really good defensive backs around, and I think that's why I don't rule out somebody like Justin Simmons coming to the 49ers, because I think that he's good enough, instinctive enough to be one of those chess pieces for Brandon Staley's schemes on the back end. And I'm sure the 49ers are talking about this right now, talking amongst themselves about who would best fit their evolving vision defensively. And it's going to be fascinating to see how they wrap up this free agency. But they have focused on special teams. They've focused on the margins of this roster. They have focused on raising the floor of a team that already has a lot of superstars. And, with the Feliciano draft that I talked, or the Feliciano re-signing that I talked about today, I think the 49ers have set themselves up well to take a big swing at offensive line in the draft. Maybe you have to trade up in that first round, and, already project them to have 50 out of 53 spots filled right now. So it's a crowded situation. They've got 10 draft picks. I think the 49ers are really, really primed to be able to trade up from number 31 and maybe grab an offensive tackle of the future. So you can see they are addressing this side of the equation. This side of the equation has been re-signings, and I think this side of the equation is going to be more of a draft focus for the San Francisco 49ers. Only makes sense. The one thing that we will not do here is put Jimmy Garoppolo into the backup quarterback spot, because he has signed with the Rams. Isn't that a wild twist on this Friday afternoon? Garoppolo to the Rams as Matthew Stafford's backup. Led so many wins over the Rams, and also was the quarterback for a big, painful loss against the Rams in that NFC Championship game. Now he's going to be wearing that blue and yellow. I don't think you call it gold, right? That's a yellow color that the Rams wear. And the 49ers have picked up another cornerback. So, man, it's one of those situations where you got to just keep your seatbelt fastened here during free agency, because it never seems to slow down. Mike has a little bit of an update for us. The 49ers use the veteran salary benefit for Demetrius Flannigan-Foles. That's rare. Veteran salary benefit means base salary about 1.8 million, and they can give him a signing bonus on top of that. The bonus is only 167,000, yet maintain his cap hit at 1.29 million. So the cap hit is lower than the actual salary and the signing bonus for Demetrius Flannigan-Foles. You could use, I think, up to 1.3 million in benefit for this. It's like a mid-level or low-level exception. You see that a lot in the NFL. It's a way to reward players who have been with the team for at least 4 years. And Demetrius Flannigan-Foles is now with the 49ers on his 6th contract. So he's been with the team since 2019, and they could use this veteran salary benefit. The last time the 49ers were able to use the veteran salary benefit was for Ronald Blair. Remember Ronald Blair, so dependable for the 49ers defensive line? He's a guy that they used that benefit on. So Flannigan-Foles, cap hit, only 1.3 million for the 49ers. And that is something that they've used, one of those loopholes to keep the salary cap as low as possible. So I'll be writing about that, because I am talking about the 49ers cap situation. This is a little preview for you. We're going to delve deeper into the cap situation later today, but I could show it to you right now. Here's the 49ers 2024 salary cap report. Right here, you see 49 million in space. It's no joke. 49ers are set to have a lot of space. They can carry it over if they need to, but that's not the amount of space they have at this very moment. At this very moment, they've got about 12 million after the Kittle restructure, the Hargrave restructure, the Warner restructure. I actually have a sheet right here that I don't mind showing you guys. I just have to open it up really quickly. The 49ers 2024 cap changes. I'm keeping track of the players who are leaving and the players who are coming to the 49ers this offseason. We've got to add Demetrius Flanagan-Foles to this. He's got a cap hit of $1.29 million, so we can add him to the calculated. Oh, no, we already have him there. I had him estimated at $1 million. He's actually at $1.29 million, and we could bold it and unitalicize it since that is official. Take a look at this. This is the cap added through signings this offseason, and I've estimated the ones that we don't know for sure yet. The adds up to $36.01 million of cap added for the 49ers. This is the cap saved in the green column. So Kyle Juszczyk, $1.75 million through a pay cut. George Kittle, about $10 million through a restructure. I think I have the exact numbers now, so I can go and make that precise, but I've estimated for now. Javon Hargrave, $6.4 million saved through a restructure. And then Eric Armstead, the savings will come from this cut, his base salary and bonuses from this season. The 49ers don't owe those anymore. That's going to come on June 2nd because as opposed to June 1st release. But once all is said and done, the 49ers will have saved $36.2 million, as you can see here, from all their maneuvers this year. And they have dished out $36.01 million in new contracts. So these two numbers, you can see how the 49ers are being sustainable cap-wise because they're being sustainable because the spend is a little bit smaller than what they've saved. The 49ers are in this good position right now, salary cap wise. They're going to have nearly $50 million in space. Now, of course, the draft class is going to cost some. There are other signings that haven't been accounted for here yet because we're waiting for numbers. But once all that's accounted for, the 49ers will have space to make big time in-season trades if they want to. They've got room right now if they want to backload a deal for Brandon Simmons. But obviously they want to stay competitive on the marketplace. But most importantly, the 49ers will be in position to potentially carry over salary cap room into 2025, which I illustrate for you here. And that's where you're going to have to potentially pay Brock Purdy because he'll be eligible for a new deal. So salary cap wise, come here for your information. This is where it's going to be accurate. I've been tracking this meticulously, and the 49ers need to look at this in the big picture. So that makes it really complicated. Brock Purdy set to be paid next season. That's the 49ers news. Garoppolo with the Rams. Yiadom, a cornerback who's been really good over the past year. He started, I think, the last 7 games for the Saints. This could be money for the 49ers. We'll see. You can go and check out the depth chart to see where all these guys fit. But this team is wheeling and dealing as free agency continues. They've got money to spend. They have to be careful, though, because that Armstead money won't free up until June 2nd. So 49ers walking a tightrope right now until they can get to that point. But they're doing a good job, it seems, to build out a robust roster that augments the superstar power that they have with a higher floor, with better performance at the margins. That's the goal for a good football team. And that's the nuance that I think that you need to know about the 49ers as they continue building. All right, I hope everybody's having a good Friday afternoon. We'll talk to you very soon.